Hi everyone, Anthony Turtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new self-titled Lump album. It's a collaborative project between Laura Marling and Mike Lindsay. As I said, this is a new collaborative record featuring two UK musicians. Laura is a seasoned songwriter with 6 solo albums under her belt at this point, and a pretty distinct singing voice and style, even if I think some of her latest stuff does see her getting a little predictable. She has a very pensive and poetic songwriting style whose appeal I cannot deny. A distinctly smoky voice too, that's surprisingly dynamic when she's performing a more energetic number. And then there is Mike Lindsay, who is one of the main brains in the band Tunng, an experimental folk outfit known for their fusions of electronic and acoustic instrumentation. I remember loving their record Good Arrows about a decade ago at this point. This album came out around a time when the whole FOLKTRONIC trend was kind of at its peak. It was a shame they weren't able to follow that record up with something that was as satisfying and bold. However, Tunng continues to release records to this day. They even have one dropping this year. I'm also kind of confused as to how this genre died out around the turn of this new decade, because surely the broad idea of bringing electronic music and folk music together had more gas in the tank than like Fortet and Juana Molina and the Books and Matmos. I know that's not all the great records that came out in the genre over the years, I'm just saying. Anyway, I've been looking for a reason to be more excited about electronic folk fusions once again, and Lump has essentially provided me that opportunity. This thing is a short little album, it's 7 tracks, and the last track on this thing is a clever little credits track that sees Laura Marling kind of announcing all the personnel of the record over a trippy electronic sound bed. The previous 6 tracks on this thing are a pretty satisfying set of complex and creatively layered and composed folktronic combos. Marling and Lindsay really do pair well on this thing. The experimental, gently pulsating, and beautiful musical backdrops on this thing provide a refreshing background for Marling to deliver her vocals over. And then Lindsay, who contributed to the bulk of these sprawling instrumentals, he now has a calming, strong, and sensual voice to command attention amongst these really lush, psychedelic, and dense soundscapes. The track Late to the Flight is the opening cut on this thing, features some very lonesome acoustic guitar leads, and woodwinds too that gently sprout up as Laura Marling's voice kind of beams down on them like a sunrise, and the brighter she sings, the more the instrumentation kind of comes alive. The instrumental on this thing just gets fuller and fuller and fuller, especially as it's met with these drony, beautiful, multi-tracked, orgasmic vocal harmonies. The lyrics on the track seem to literally be about being late for a flight, talking about details such as what you're wearing, who you're sitting next to. Kind of a normal experience, but given a very surreal presentation, filtering it through a lens that feels slow motion, dreamy, and beautiful. The song May I Be the Light Miraculously is another track that sounds like morning's first ray of sunshine beaming down onto an open field of plants and flowers. The track features this bustling, meditative beat, matched with a droning synths and a set of vocals from Marling that are kind of hypnotic, repetitive, feels sort of like a chant. Marling eventually starts delivering these beckoning lead vocals, and then ba-bam! It's inside. This stunningly beautiful vocal line attached to some really great woodwinds pops in and just brightens up the whole mix. I just wish the instrumental provided more oomph, more support around this switch up, around this chorus. However, I do enjoy the instrumental transition to the next cut on this thing though, Rolling Thunder. I much prefer this track for its slowly intensifying instrumentation, Laura's strong, guiding lead vocals on this thing, and the incredibly noisy, explosive, and amazing crescendo of instrumentation toward the very finish. Curse of the Contemporary is maybe the most instantaneously catchy cut of the whole bunch. The instrumentation on this cut feels futuristic and strange, but the swanky lead guitars and vocal melody sound like something out of a 60s psych pop tune, with Laura Marling singing about being bored in California, among other things. The chilling and dark Handhold Hero is a nice emotional change of pace, featuring Laura Marling singing a very dreary dirge atop these throbbing, persistent synth arpeggios. There's a suddenly industrial percussive shift on the very tail end of the track that I like quite a bit. But this was another moment on the record that I felt like there could have been more acoustic instrumentation thrown in to kind of complement Laura Marling's style. Not only that, but the instrumental could have been a little bit more dynamic too. Shake Your Shelter was unfortunately yet another song where I was much more impressed with Marling's vocals than I was the sound bed underneath her. I think the watery guitar leads and very gentle rhythms kind of make for an awkward start on the song, although I love the blissful metallic ringing tones vibrations that kind of bliss everything out and melt all the instrumentation together later in the track, kind of making that rough start worth it. Even though this record wasn't the groundbreaking fusion of sounds or the artistic pinnacle for both artists that I kind of hoped it would be, it's still a texturally unique collaborative record with quite a few solid songs on it, and maybe a reason to look forward as well, because considering how many good tracks are on this thing, even with it being so short, maybe Lindsay and Marling will get together again in the future. I'm feeling a light 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry. Just leave a comment in the comments if you're feeling full of thoughts. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell as well. Laura Marling, Mike Lindsay. Lump forever.